Hi everyone, this is just a video to follow up on the Tentacle Rig video that I did, and I had some users asking me how to do it step by step. So I'm gonna start fresh here and create it all from scratch. So the first thing I want to do is I want to create the bones, and for this tutorial I'll only create 5 bones. But instead of creating 5 individual bones, I'm creating a single one. I'm gonna call this Tentacle Control. And then I'm gonna go here and click split. And then I want 5 bones and I want it to be nested. Nested means that they will be, we have the parent, then we have a child and so on. You know, if I do not put nested on, they will all be parented to the root. So the next thing to do is to make sure that the bones can actually curl in on themselves. So for example, if I do here, you see I rotate it, it doesn't curl in on itself. So I need to change the length of the bones. And to start off with, I'm just going to set the length to 120 on all the bones. Then we're going to select the second one and I'm going to remove 2 pixels from each bone. And then, so 116 and 114 and 112. So we have 20, 18, 16, 14, and 12 down here. So the next thing to do is place the bones where I want it to be. And we can use the length of the bone to know where I want the X value of the translation if I have it set to local. So for example, here, this bone, or this bone is 120. Next one is 118. But for this bone, we want to set it to 120. This places it right at the tip. For the next one, we want 118. Also, right at the tip. And then 116 and 114. Now the length that you have for these bones here, it doesn't matter what the length is, but if you want them to be able to curl in on themselves properly, you will need to have the length go down slowly. All right, so the next step is, first I'm just going to give these a color so they'll be easier to distinguish. I'm going to make them green. Next thing, we create the path. So I create the path here. I'm just going to call it path. And then let's zoom out a little and just insert some path points here. Something relatively simple. I'm not gonna spend too much time on the path, just show you how to set it up. All right, so like that, I should do. And then we wanna parent these or constrain these bones to the path. So I'm gonna select them all and I'm gonna go here, new path constraint, select the path, and we're just going to call it path CNS, and we want to set this to chain. And now when I change position, you can see the green bones move along the path. All right, so far so good. Now the next thing we need is we need to have the actual bones that will be deforming the mesh. Now I won't be creating the mesh in this, as you saw in the previous tutorial, but these bones here will never leave the path. We need to have some bones that we can curl up. And to do that, first I'm going to select the first bone here. I'm going to duplicate it. And we're just going to go here and rename these. And we're going to call them tentacle. I'm going to remove the control here. So we're going to call this tentacle 1. And then tentacle 2. Tentacle 3, tentacle 4, and tentacle 5, like so. And again, I'm going to give them some different color, make them red. And now I need to constrain each of these to the green bones here. So I select the first one, go new, I set a transform constraint this time, and I select the first bone. And we're just going to call it CNS1. Now, here we want to constrain, for the first one, we want to constrain the rotation. Now this bone gets the same rotation as this bone, but we also want to move the first bone up to the root of the, so we do it like so. And then we want to set the option to be local. Then we take the next one and another transform constraint called CNS2. and we set to local. And this time we only take rotation because the bone is already in the correct spot. So we set rotation to 100. See, it goes right on top of it. And then we've already set the local. I take the next bone again a transform constraint, CNS3, and rotation, local. Take the next one, transform constraint, CNS4, and rotation, and local, and we'll take the last one again, and CNS5, local, and rotation. Now if I go and change the position of the path constraint, you would see that all the red bones, they will follow along. Now, if I want to control these bones individually, I'll have to go and change or remove these mixed weights here. So, for example, if I want to rotate the red bone manually, I would have to go and remove the rotation, and then I can select it, I can rotate it. Now, if I go back to the constraint here and set rotation back to 100, you can see it moves back into place. Now, in the previous video that I had, I was controlling all these bones with a single bone, which would make it much easier for me to curl it up. So for example, now if I select the root bone, I create a new bone, I'm just going to place it here, and I'm going to rename it to curl. Then I select all the red bones here, and I say new transform constraint. Here, we call it curl. And now set it to local, and set it to rotation. And you'll notice what happens here is when I rotate this, these bones curl up with it, but now they're not being affected by the other bones. And this is because this constraint is being calculated last, and we want this to be calculated before the other transform constraints. So I'm just going to move it up here. You can see slowly as I move down how it's affecting. You see the different constraints I set if you look at the viewport. Now I'm going to place it here, and then I will set rotation on this curl bone. And now as I remove the mix, you can see how the bones curl up. And we have a rig very similar to the one in the previous tentacle video. So I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you again soon for the next video. Bye for now.